I have the Raiders QB resolution.
Give me the Dolphins QB resolution.
I have the Jets QB
that's like
resolution.
one of the hardest ones. The Dolphins, I feel like, is one of the hardest ones. You got to get creative potentially. So I'm curious to hear that one.
That is my whole name of the game in my notes here. So we'll go with the Dolphins. Yeah, QB resolution. They have a first, a second, and 3 third-round picks in this class. Okay, I just mentioned it's a 2 quarterback class, 1.5 with Dante Moore. The number one name that comes to mind is Mac Jones, but he's under contract for another year. Is Kyle Shanahan going to break the cue stick, like the Joker style, between Purdy and Mac Jones after next year? Because Purdy's contract is a little more movable after next year. Who knows? Doesn't a third rounder kind of feel fair for Mac Jones, what the Dolphins need? I don't know. To me, it does, and it is cost control and all that. I don't think Malik Willis is the obvious answer that most people do. I think he is interesting and he's talented, but it's a specific offense for him, and he's still developing as a passer. And I actually don't think this offense that requires a guy to be on time all the time is perfect for Willis. More of a creation guy. So, Marcus Mariota free agency, or do we do the Kyler Murray? I don't know if I didn't really look at the cap stuff. He's owed $37 million guaranteed next year. It seems like they want to go Brissett. I think the Kyler is gone from the Cardinals. Just reading tea leaves. Kyler's not a perfect fit in a Mike McDaniel offense, but he's kind of the antithesis of Tua. He throws a great deep ball, he creates a bunch, and he doesn't really throw over the middle. And Tua doesn't throw a deep ball, works nothing but over the middle, and can't create. So maybe they're just like, let's get the total opposite of what we have and see what that does for our offense and for our projections and everything. So again, this quarterback class isn't great. I think they have to get creative with a vet in some way, shape, or form. And I think they have some draft capital to do it. But the thing is, the interesting names aren't crazy interesting. So that's where I still think Kyler is the most interesting to me. Mac Jones is the one that makes the most sense. But Kyle Shanahan might say, like, piss off, like go sniff somewhere else, so it's just like there's no clean solution here. So I'm curious what you think too, but that's what I kind of came to. They have some draft capital to do this, but what name they maybe decide is really interesting to me.
Yeah, I've wondered if there's a Kyler to we don't like our quarterback who we signed to a big contract. Probably the Dolphins are throwing in some type of draft capital in that deal. But all right, here's one more for you, Nate, that I threw out on the Ringer NFL show. Okay. Can we Osweiler this to a contract? So can we, and by that I mean the Dolphins are the team that attaches a pick to the Tua contract and says someone take that off our books. But then you would say, well, they still need a quarterback if they do that. So who says no to this deal? Tua and a 2nd round pick for Anthony Richardson. Does that make sense for either side? Because if you're the Colts, you're saying
raising the room over here. I can't believe we roped an Anthony Richardson conversation in here, but let's go, Shield.
Yeah, but I know who I'm talking to. So if you're the Dolphins, you're saying, like you said, there's no perfect solution. We would love to get off this contract. Let's take a swing on somebody with some athletic tools. It might not work out, but that's okay. It's not working out now. We give up a 2nd round pick, not ideal, but we need to get off that to a contract. So that makes sense from the Dolphins' perspective. If you're the Colts, you're going into next year. You don't know if Daniel Jones, first of all, Daniel Jones isn't under contract. So that's going to be a tricky one potentially to figure out. Is he healthy? You don't know. You obviously don't like Anthony Richardson. I mean, you literally just brought Phillip Rivers out of retirement. There are no signs you want anything to do with Anthony Richardson. You traded 2 firsts for Sauce Gardner. So you're short on draft capital. You're not paying a quarterback big money. So you can actually afford to absorb the Tua contract. And I don't think either of us are big Tua fans, but if you're like, hey, if Shane Steichen did that with Daniel Jones, can he give us a competent year in Shane Steichen's offense with a good offensive line, with a good supporting cast? And you can actually get off the Tua contract after 2026. It's not that bad. So if it doesn't work out for a year, you're off of that. And now you got the 2nd round pick, and maybe you still bring Daniel Jones back, but now it's like we got a couple dart throws here where we're not sure on any of them. Who's saying no to that deal? What do you think?
I love it. I even loved how you broke down the Colts like draft capital that they have, because that's ever since they made the trade, everything's gone wrong for them, which is like, and when they made the trade, I was like, also just even team building philosophy, I wouldn't trade that much for a corner. It's always defensive lineman to me that you trade that draft capital for. The Quinn and Williams one is what I don't know. That's a longer discussion, but it is one of those things where it was a heat check and it was it's still a wide open AFC. So I actually still kind of understood the aggression, even if I didn't totally love what they gave up and who they gave up. And AD Mitchell's looking good for the Jets. The Colts receivers are good, so who cares? But no, I think that's a great kind of idea. Richardson, to me, with the Shanahan guy is like a certain type. And that's what's so hard. It's like certain guys, and Richardson is not that. But that's the thing is, well, we saw what your type gets us, or at least what you think maybe this type of offense gets us. Let's go for the opposite. Let's go for something that, yeah, we can structure this run game to be creative. Now we got a quarterback that can run. So now we drop that little element in there. And then now Richardson focuses on deep balls and the big plays that you can get to, because we just take off the RPOs. That's what they have to build the offense out of RPOs because of Tua's arm strength and how Tua plays. He's just very quick. Everything has to be 2 seconds. They need something to add a ceiling raiser to this, and a guy that can maybe play in cold weather. But also, it's not, now you get into a thing where it's now you're adding another injured player to a team that just seems to have nothing but injured players. But maybe Richardson gets back to Florida. Maybe that helps him out. You never know. Sometimes guys get back to Florida or Texas, and they just all of a sudden they're like, yeah, this is all great. Like you never know. Some of these guys like their home cooking. Yeah. No, I like that, because I think the sum of the too long didn't read of this is they have to get creative. And I think the Richardson creativity is actually one I can get behind. And I'll just always bring up Tanner McKee, because I think he's the guy that every team that has an open seat and looks at this quarterback class, I think they should be throwing more draft capital than I think if he does get traded, it's going to be more than people are going to be like, everyone's going to be like, what? But it's like, yeah, markets work this way. If you have a pulse at quarterback, Kenny Pickett got traded for twice this offseason. Kenny Pickett cannot play NFL quarterback. And I'm so sorry. And I've been saying this for 4 years now. He got traded for twice in one offseason. So anyone with some pulse and somewhat of talent is going to go way higher than you think. So yeah, I like this and talking about the Dolphins, trying to figure out what they do. They're an interesting team, man. I have no idea what they do.
Yeah, it's fun. We'll see. We'll see what they do.